Hi, Anastasia. Can you start by sharing a bit about yourself and where were you before we started working together, which was like 5, 6 months ago?
Yeah, sure. My name is Anastasia, and I am entrepreneur. I used to be corporate in the past. So a couple of years ago, I quit my corporate life, and I decided to start developing my own project. And since most of my career happened in big companies, I was maybe my mindset was a little bit shaped in a way how you call it. It was shaped as a mindset of a corporate person. So sometimes your responsibility, like you treat responsibility differently if you work for the company, and then if you start building something for yourself. And of course, I needed some guidance. I think from the very beginning, but maybe my mistake was that I didn't have a mentor right away. And why so? Because it helps, of course, to reflect your vision and to shape your vision in a certain way. And sometimes not necessarily shape, but switch attention to certain points that crucially influence the way you act afterwards. So like a little bit of what I'm doing, I'm developing an educational platform for women to enter the skills of the future, like AI, Web3, and some other skills that we right now are thinking to even expand this range. Like, for example, building a personal brand in digital, like mostly related to digital because it's about emerging tech in general. And we do it via online education and offline events and building community around this. And of course, first of all, not only I entered absolutely new industry for myself, because I used to work for Heineken, which is a classical FMCG marketing school, which is great, by the way. But when I started to develop something in emerging tech, there, not only you change the sphere, but also you change the way you treat responsibility, you treat your team, you treat yourself as a leader. So a lot of new things happened to me, basically. And back then when we started working together, 6 months, I think it was about 6 months ago, I was struggling with setting the priorities, which is the most important and crucial thing for people when they work on with their own project, because you cannot do everything and you're supposed to delegate things. But it sounds really simple, but when you actually do it, you also, if you are a perfectionist and you want to do everything just right, it is super difficult to delegate and to prioritize. Everything seems to be very, very important. So I didn't know what is my priority. I didn't know how to set a priority. I was not sure about. I also had an imposter syndrome. I think I still have it now, and if it's lifelong learning, to be honest. And I think imposter syndrome is something that is very common among women in tech, in particular. And my feeling is that sometimes that I switched to tech not long ago, and maybe my expertise is not as great as I wanted to be or whatever, but it's just like all these thoughts that prevent or blocking us from success. And I think these were like two main problems that I had. Well, I don't like to say problems. Describing a little bit of a situation that I had before we started working together. And that's it.
How was your life as a result of not being able to set priorities or having that imposter syndrome? What was the impact of that on your life?
Yeah, it was just really awful, I would say. I mean, no, of course, I also have an expertise, and this expertise, I was gathering it for years. I have a solid knowledge of marketing and how to position yourself and actually how to prioritize, because I was also managing teams. But it is all different when you do your own project. It's not that you have to forget everything that you had in the company, no. But it is just very different, at least for me.
Yeah.
So at that moment, well, first of all, I think I had FOMO, and because, as I said, everything seems very important, and you need to invest your time and energy in each and every task. But also, I had uncertainty, like if I'm going the right way, or if I'm doing the right thing. So basically, that was the most important important thing that I wanted to work through, basically.
Yeah. And what did you discover in the first few calls that we had? What did you discover that you didn't expect out of when we started to work together?
Well, I think what I discovered is that each and every situation has a multiple number of angles to look at. So I cannot say that you changed reality for myself. No, reality is always the same. It's just like the angle of how you look at things was changed. So I think I'm also a very self-critical person. As I said, I'm very perfectionist. I want to do everything ideal or not to do it at all, which is absolutely it's a very utopic way to look at things. It doesn't work this way in real life. So I think what's changed is my way to look at things. So my angle of looking at things was shifted. Therefore, my mindset was shifted, and that's the main thing. That's as you see from everywhere. Like you can always choose your reaction. You can always choose your emotion. You can always choose how you look at things. But what I loved to learn is that how you actually do it, because there is a clear instruction how to do it, and it always works if you try to do it, if you're consistent. And consistency is the other thing that I discovered, that it's not necessary to be like a genius, to be completely honest, to run a successful business. You just need to be very passionate about your idea. You need to believe in your idea, and because it's contagious also, and you need to be consistent. That's a very important thing.
Yeah. So what tangible results did you produce as a result of being consistent and also looking at the world at the reality in a different way, as you mentioned?
I think, well, I'm a very spiritual person to say. I love to talk about energy. So I totally believe that the reality that we have around is basically the reflection of our inner selves. So what is necessary to do first and foremost is to work on your state, on your condition, on your energy, and then it will be right away reflected in all sorts of events that happen to you every day. That sounds a little bit like magic, but it's actually how it works, So what the most tangible result right after I started to feel more balanced, calm, confident, after all the exercises that we did and after all the practices that we did. And of course, I was also working myself, so I cannot say that it's just the only thing that helped me. I think I also had a lot of insightful talks with people, or I read a lot of things. As a result, I started to feel more balanced inside, and right next day, literally, or next week, the situations or conversations or interactions with people that you have, they have different results, because inside you articulate or you almost transmit a certain type of energy that I didn't have before. So this is I think that's the essence of things. Whatever happened after, as an event or a conversation or a project, that was a result already of this. So in terms of tangible results, of course, I started to attract the right people, the right conversation. I already was more balanced and confident when I was presenting on stage. That created absolutely new level of connection with people, new collaborations, new projects in the future, So yeah, I think that's crucial.
Yes, and I think you used the word magical, right? But I think it's also that consistency that you mentioned. You started taking very consistent action, which we also defined, right? That between calls that this needs to happen, and then you were more balanced and confident from the inside. So whatever appears as magical is a perfect outcome of you being consistent.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I also started to pay attention to the details. Like, for example, what you said, each and every action needs to happen from the right state. Like, even when you write an email, or when you want to say something, or you want to text something. Like, for example, I do a lot of conversations via chats in Telegram, let's say, with my employees or my partners or whatever. I started to do, the voice messages, but then I was like, okay, wait a second. I deleted this voice messages. I created the new ones. And then it was already, okay, something wrong. I deleted it again. I started to record the new one. So I started to filter things. And that was in the very beginning. And right now, I already record the message, which I only do after I reach the right state, So for example, sometimes it happens that I'm pissed, yes, but but that's okay. You can just get a little bit more, take a little bit more time, analyze the situation, or even calm down a little bit, and then you can already try to interact with people, or this kind of thing. So getting more balanced, for sure, 100%.
Yeah. And as a result of that, can you share what have others noticed about you? What have others noticed that is different?
Well, I think others will never notice something that you are not thinking about yourself. Well, basically, how people say that people will never notice this about you if you don't radiate something. People will never understand that you are a good professional if you don't shine with this energy. Or people will never understand that you know what you're talking about if you are not going to be confident about it. So whatever you want people to learn about you, you just need to tell, and tell a very particular way. So that's why I always say that it's important to start with the inner state and then articulate it to the outer state.
Yes. Yeah. You also made some uncomfortable requests, right, to different people, either who were reaching out to you or you started to reach out to other people. Can you share a bit more about that, and then what results did that produce?
Also in terms of my positioning, or sort of the way I, for example, very tangible example, I render certain services, and it's sometimes if you have an imposter syndrome, it is sometimes quite difficult to indicate the certain level of the course that you want to take. But then it is a constant struggle in between yourself and how many hours you want to devote to certain project. The project that you select is also something that can be are you 100% comfortable with this project, or you're taking it because they pay too much? And then you will have to struggle with yourself just because they, let's say, pay a lot of money, but you're not going to be happy inside working with this project. So you need to prioritize yourself, put yourself first. And that's also a very important lesson for me. So what literally happened, I think during the last the last 6 months that we worked, I nearly doubled my rate, which I think is quite tangible, to be honest. And what is a surprise for me is that people don't ask any questions. They just pay. I mean, I almost think that if you, of course, have a good level of expertise and good level of experience, you can shape the way you interact with people. And if these conditions are not, let's say, comfortable for certain people you talk to, you can always find different clients or partners or whatever that will be happy. But so far, I don't have any difficulties with that, and that's great. That was a big discovery for me, actually.
Yeah. Were there, like when we started to work together, were there any concerns when you started that? And what happened to those concerns after we started working together?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's gonna be a short period of time, and you cannot do this kind of big leaps within this certain period of time. And
Mm,
you like, I think I had not a concern, but a little bit of a surprise. What kind of goals you encouraged me to set?
mm,
So
yeah.
I was like thinking, okay, I think it's a bit too massive for me. Like, can I accomplish it within several months or something? Can I actually do it? Am I able to do anything? Like, this kind of thing. So I was again doubting myself. I was doubting my capabilities and my motivation or
Mm,
whatever, everything.
yeah, yeah. And how is it now? How has your view or your confidence in yourself changed now in terms of goal setting or anything else?
Yeah, exactly. You start seeing it with the small examples. Like, for example, as I just mentioned about your rate. If you ask for certain rates and then you double the rates and you don't see any objections from people and any not even questions, you say, okay, this is actually, I mean, they do it, and it proves that you can do anything. Basically, depends on, of course. Well, I'm not saying that you can ask for whatever money if you don't know the subject. It doesn't work like this, of course. But looking at these examples, you start to see that actually, if you set up a certain goal, for example, I want to speak at TED Talks, right?
Mm.
And that was absolutely like 1 year ago or 2 years ago. It was like, oh my God, I'm never going to do this. And I filled an application a week ago. So it doesn't look not feasible anymore. It
Yeah.
doesn't look impossible anymore. So when you and even like, for example, I had the goal for a couple of years to reach to influence 25,000 women and onboard them into emerging tech. But right now I look at this 25,000, and it was 10 actually. Actually, it was 10 even when we had the first conversation. Now it's 25. And I'm looking at this 25,000 number. I'm thinking, no, it's actually not a lot. Maybe it needs to be 100,000. Maybe it's actually not that much, So you start, because everything is relative, and I think the bigger you get inside, the how we call it, the more impressive your influence can be, just because you don't have any thoughts on your way that block your vision or block your growth.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way to put it. Yeah. What would you say to somebody who is considering working with me and is on the fence?
Yeah, I think. I think these people just should start, and they will see. They will see how their vision is going to change. Because I think that working with any mentor is always a lifelong learning. It's not a magic wand. You shouldn't think that, okay, we are going to work with mentor for 6 months and then all the problems all of a sudden are going to disappear. It's not gonna be like that. But it is a great help, because in the end, I think coaching is working with yourself. You're working with yourself.
Yeah.
And the coach is the mirror that helps you to see very particular things that you need to see right now. Sometimes in our conversations, I'm approaching you with a certain topic, and then you ask one question, and I was like, okay. And that looks so stupid what I said, because I see from the other side, from the other angle. And you need this mirror in your life. So that's why at any stage of your life, you need, I do believe that, for example, next year, I will also need a mentor. And the year after, I will also need a mentor. Maybe totally different, related to totally different aspects in my life. Maybe it will be about work. Maybe it will be about relationship. Maybe it will be about anything else. Doesn't matter. So of course, I think working with mentor is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you said it very right. It's not about me as a coach, it's about you, right? So because the power is not in me, the power is all in you. And my job is simply to show you that. And if you can see that, you do all the magic yourself.
Yeah. But can you imagine, people don't see it, you know?
Yeah.
People don't see it. And like you get this awful feeling. This feeling is really awful. When you feel like you have a lot of potential, you have a lot to give, you have a lot of energy even sometimes, but it is sort of stuck and you don't know how to let it go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the reason we have coaches, right? That's the reason I have my own coach to show me so that I can show other people. Yeah. So before we end, right, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, whatever I'm thinking right now, it's a little bit of a cliche, you know? So, well, maybe some people will consider it as a cliche, but I think what is the most important, as I said in our last session, I think it's important to work on your energy. So it's like, it's a universal formula that you talk about on your sessions or in using your methodology, if I can say methodology. That is a little bit different versus any other ways of working that I've met in my life, is that there is a clear instruction what needs to be done in any aspect of your life, and if you practice it, you can get good results. So I think this is the most important, and this is related to your inner state. So I think the most important is to work on your inner state, and everything else will reflect in reality, in events.
Yeah. Thank you for the last 6 months, and I'm sure you have a wonderful future ahead of you, and I'm going to be watching on the sidelines as you achieve like one milestone after another.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.